Alright, ladies and gentlemen, folk, welcome back to our Architects Listen Along. This video will be coming to you a lot sooner than it took for me to do Daybreaker after the here and now, so you're welcome. Now, Lost Forever, Lost Together. I've heard a lot of good things about this album, so to speak. I've been told from numerous people that this is the fan favourite, the best Architects album. So, of course, my expectations are a little bit higher this time around that I've been told how good this album is, but I still don't know what to expect. That's the magical thing when you deep dive into an artist's discography. You never know how different the next album is going to be to the last, and you know the sound that the general audience of this artist tends to enjoy the most. So it's going to be a very interesting one. So I'm just not going to waste any more time. We're going to get straight into this one. I can see based on streams that this is a pretty high streamed album in comparison to the other ones. And yeah, I'm going to do this just like I did Daybreaker. I'm going to, just fly through it as fast as I can. I'll pause when I need to. But yeah, let's go. Gravedigger, let's go. Make sure we're on full volume and let's fucking go. Crack right on. So this isn't an intro track in the same vein as what Daybreak had based on the length. Let's see. I'm going to assume that's a reference to the bonus track on the previous album called Bloodbank. Interesting start. I say that every video, don't I? Interesting start. It's not what I'm expecting. Let's put it that way. See, this is the thing. Every album so far, they've got the same, not structure, but style. Like, they're very similar stylistically, but at the same time, I'm expecting it to shift. And I don't know why. Good start. Good start. We're off to a good one here. Yeah, Gravedigger. Pretty good song. Solid. Again, it's still not falling in my line, but at the same time, I can appreciate it. It is good. Straight into this one. Impeccable vocals, to be fair. Just keep that tone whilst providing a scream like that. It's not fucking easy, believe me. Just gonna pause up for a moment there. Even though I've said this, I think I've said it numerous times now. Even though this isn't my style of music, I don't get me wrong. I love heavy metal, I love metalcore, new metal, blah blah blah. But then this little subgenre, again, I'm still struggling to find what to call it because I know it is metalcore. But when it comes to the metalcore that is, popular within the industry these days, that's what I get on with more. What Architects do these days and what Bring Me the Horizon do these days, for example. Those kind of things. But old school Architects, by any means, it's not bad. I am enjoying what I'm listening to, but that aside, obviously unrelated note, I'm looking at this mainly from a vocal perspective. It doesn't feel, like melodic and rhythmic. It's just absolute aggression at all times. And even though, again, like I said, that's not my style, as somebody who is always, and I mean always, practicing their own vocal in their own free time, whether that be soft singing vocal or intense screams or guttural screams, I can massively respect Sam Carter in almost every single fucking song that Architects have put out because of just how difficult it is to produce those consistent tones in your voice whilst, being that harsh and aggressive with yourself. It's fucking difficult. So, there's no questioning his vocal talent. Sam Carter is one of the best metal vocalists on the planet, let's be real here. But, just thinking of that from a personal perspective, where you think to yourself, "Shit, that must be difficult." It really is. And like I said, every credit to the guy, because it's a hell of a talent he's got there. It's just, for me, I just would rather there be some more refinement in how he uses it in practice. I have no problem with the sound or the consistency. It's just the song that it features in. Because if you're producing, let's say Sam Carter was to cover Shadow Moses by Bring Me the Horizon or The House of Wolves, but don't change the way the song sounds. You know, like those AI covers that you hear. I think it would be fucking amazing to hear his voice in that kind of sound. I know I might go and research that, but that's all I want to say. Just in case I don't look interested at any point, because I know, watching back, footage when I edit these things, I look uninterested in a lot of areas, but I'm not. I'm just taking it all in, and I'm just processing it, unlike with reactions that I have to, let's say, Next Gen or other Bring Me albums that I listen to, where I look more invested. It's because I'm just vibing more with the overall sound. It's my kind of thing. This isn't, but I am appreciating what I'm hearing, just before any Architects naysayers, try and fight me. So let's just carry on. Broken PS1. Okay. I like that. There's no denying what this song's about. I love it when a song goes isolated in its voice pause. I love it when songs do isolated vocals like that. It really lets you hear the sound of the vocalist, and it's fantastic. That's probably my favourite one so far. Good start. Let's keep going. Devil Is Near. Got a little outro here, which could potentially be a transition. Cool. Yeah, I think that one rivals the previous song up to now for me, anyways. Two very, two songs that complement each other for sure. One about, of course, what's the word? It's pushing away God, and the other one's about embracing the devil. I guess not embracing the devil, but acknowledging its existence. So yeah, they complement each other quite nicely. Yeah, sweet. Another little outro here, sorry, not interlude. Yeah, for me this was another one of those tracks where it's like, I can appreciate the song, it's a good song, but it's not didn't catch my attention, really. It's fine enough. Neato. What's next? 2 minutes 13. Not a lot of lyrics here. Red Hypergiant.
That an organism at war with itself is doomed. We are one planet.
Interesting to keep using these, like, I don't know, it's almost like, you know, when you go around a COD Zombies map and you hold interact on a radio and you get this, like, old message. It reminds me of that a little bit. Of course, different circumstance here. These messages are on the political side and whatnot, but still, it's quite interesting that this is the approach for sampling that they're going for in this album. And these electronic sounds as well. It's very experimental. I can appreciate it. Cancer. I do know, like, just speaking of a bit of Architect's knowledge here, I know that there was a member of the band, I believe it was a former guitarist, but I'm not entirely sure, that did die of cancer. If I am remembering reading that correctly. So I'm curious to know if this is in relation to that. I'm not too sure. Another one of those where it's like, I appreciate the idea, there were some good segments in there, but again, it's just like, I'm not like, ugh. I don't know, maybe my expectations were a bit different for this album, that's why I'm not feeling as into it, but I'm still enjoying it. Something I've noticed throughout this listen so far is that this album's playing around with strings a lot more. You know, it gives a lot of these songs and specific segments a very cinematic feeling, which is not a bad thing at all. I think it works to its favour in a lot of ways. It makes me think if albums like Hollow Crown implemented the same structure, would it be better? Because I still think Hollow Crown is my favourite of the old ones. I don't know how many we have left here. Oh, we've got 3 left, including this one. Okay. I'm going to restart this one because I wasn't really paying attention. I was talking. So we've got 3 left. And up to now, based on what I've heard, I would still probably give my favourite to Hollow Crown. I know it's a bit early to make a judgment because we've still got 3 left, but I'm not being funny. In, you know, the time it'll take for those 3 songs to finish, I don't think, you know, 3 songs can make a big impact on my favouritism towards set album. Obviously, I'll break it down more when it's all finished, but like I was saying with that previous point, then when it's playing around with a couple of strings, it does remind me of that cinematic feel that other songs that I have heard from the band, such as Doomsday and Holy Hell, and then a majority of For Those That Wish to Exist have. It does, really amplify a lot of songs, and it has amplified a lot of elements of this album. So it'd be interesting to see if in the next album they go forward doing the same thing, which is All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, which there is only one song on this album that I have heard, which is Gone with the Wind, and that is another cinematic sounding song. So I guess this was the start of the evolution of Architects going forward into that cinematic style, but then again, I don't know, and I don't want to make that comment just in case I'm dead wrong here, but that's just an assumption. But yeah, no, let's carry on. I choose. That's a strange way of saying that. That was good. I enjoyed that one a bit more than the others. More credits. Cool. Interesting how they're referencing the album title in the second to last song as well. It's always neat when I think an artist does reference the album's title in the song, but then it's always really interesting to see where that song is placed on the album, especially. But yeah, cool. And now we'll move on to the final song on the album already, which is The Distant Blue. 5 minutes. It's got such a cinematic yet ethereal sound to it, with the intense reverb being used on the vocals here, and of course these kind of sounds that are going on now. It's very, like I said, it's very ethereal. I wouldn't have expected it, to be honest with you. You can tell it's a climax. It sounds very climactic. That's an interesting way to close the album off, if you ask me. Right then, so that was Lost Forever, Lost Together. Now, I don't want to have to be controversial for a moment, because, again, I did enjoy a lot of what this has to offer. Don't get me wrong, Broken Cross was a great song. Gravedigger and Naysayer, of course, two good opening tracks, and The Devil's Knee being a good follow-up. But from I think these, the last, 6 songs were kind of... I don't know, they were kind of all over the place for me. Castles in the Air was probably the standout for me out of all of these, but I don't know. As it stands with this album and how I feel about it, I don't know if it's because I'm fucking tired or what. There's something wrong, but I don't know. This wasn't sticking and gluing to me as much as the other ones were. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad album. This of course, it's a good album, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. The only problem is, I think personally, is that that's all it is for me personally. It's just good. There isn't anything on this album for me that stands out above the rest of the catalogue I've heard so far. For example, Daybreaker wise, Alpha Omega, sorry, good song. Colours Don't Run, fantastic song. Truth Be Told, good as well. Feather of Lead, probably one of my favourite songs from Old Architects. Black Blood, of course, stand out as well. Going back to Here and Now, BTN and Open Letter to Myself. These kind of softer songs. I noticed that this album didn't have one, and Open Letter to Myself is another one of my favourite Old Architect songs here. Heartburn's very good as well. Going back to Hollow Crown again, which still stands out to me the most out of anything. Early Grave, Follow the Water, and In Elegance especially are some of my favourite Architect songs now. Hollow Crown, of course, also being another fantastic song. I don't remember anything of Nightmares because it was just that bland and boring. But as far as this album goes, when people talk about the holy trilogy or grail of Architects albums, I don't often hear people talk about the Here and Now. I always hear Hollow Crown, Daybreaker, and Lost Forever, Lost Together. The 3 albums with their logo plastered on the front with some form of alteration. I think Hollow Crown is the best one, and it's still my favourite going, from, bottom to top so far. And this is the weakest of the 3, in my opinion. I know that might upset a few people because I know how passionate, Architects fans are about this band and about their favourite albums, and I know this is certainly one of the fan favourites, but for me, something just weren't there for me. I don't know why or what was missing, but it just wasn't that much of a... I don't know, I couldn't really get on with this one as much as I could the other 2, even though they're very, very similar to themselves, which is quite strange. So yeah, I don't know if it's because, again, of what I was expecting, it being not different from what I was expecting, but also the quality-wise, I don't know. I will give a lot of these songs another listen, don't get me wrong, obviously not on camera, but by the time I come around to recording the next video, then I'll probably give a refreshed and revised thought on the songs that I personally picked out to re-listen to that stood out for me the most, which is probably going to be within the first 5 tracks anyway. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something weren't there for me with this one. And that's all I can really say. It's a good album, but that's it. It's just good for me. It doesn't feel anything more than good. Nothing stands out too much for me. So that's a royal shame because I was quite excited to listen to this one. But oh well, that's music, I suppose. So next time, of course, that only can mean we're going to cover All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. And like I said to you last time, the only song on this album I've heard is Gone With The Wind. The rest of them, not a clue. Now, this album has a hell of a lot more streams across the board than anything that we've listened to so far. So, was this the beginning of Architects' rise? Proper rise? I don't know. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to look at this. Okay, yeah, there's quite a lot here as well. Of course, Doomsday was a fucking huge hit for them. And then For Those That Wish to Exist is all over the shop, really, in terms of its streams. But there's a lot with a lot of streams and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I guess this was the final album before Architects really shot off. And if that's a stylistic change, is being the reason why, I don't know. Because the only songs I have heard going forward from here now, before we get to For Those That Wish to Exist, is of course Gone with the Wind, Doomsday, and Holy Hell. The rest of them, I don't know. But those songs are very different to anything we've heard up to now. So I'm excited to, dive into what, Architects has to offer going forward. Because again, it's modern Architects that I know the best. And to explore classic Architects like I did with classic Bring Me the Horizon, it's been very fun. It's been very educational, and I'm liking a lot of these older songs, and it's, letting me be more open to this kind of music. But at the same time, there's just something missing for me still. But yeah, that's not to put anything aside, because I still thought this was a good enough album for me to probably listen to again at one point in the future, just not anytime soon. It's not exactly on my top albums list. I don't know how far down I'd put that, but yeah, we'll get there eventually. But yeah, thanks for watching. Again, I apologise if you do feel disappointed and let down by my thoughts on this, because again, I know people, when they watch reaction videos, they like to see if people like what they're like, and if you're one of the fans of this album, I'm sorry that I couldn't be. But again, that might change, because originally, like I say, when it comes to bands like Slipknot, I used to hate Iowa as an album, but Iowa is now probably what I think is probably one of their best works. Not the best, but one of the best, for example. And Slipknot are my favourite band, just for a bit of context there. Or even other, like, let's say another band that I enjoy, like Linkin Park. I used to think that Minutes to Midnight wasn't all that. And I still don't think it's as good as Hybrid Theory or Meteora, but it's still a fantastic album. And Linkin Park is another artist that I do want to go back to, because the only albums I can remember hearing in full properly is Hybrid Theory, because I listen to it in full all the time, Meteora, and Minutes to Midnight. Whereas with everything that came after Minutes to Midnight, I don't think I've actually ever heard them in full. I've heard a few songs from some of the albums, such as One More Light, obviously everyone's heard that song, as well as some other songs like Waiting for the End and Castle of Glass, Catalyst, things like that. But I've never actually heard any of those albums in full, so it'd be interesting to go to them. But yeah, I do want to revisit some other artists as well, but we'll get to that after Architects, because, we're going to stay focused. Unless something comes out from another artist that I'm going to, jump to because I want to hear it, because it's new, then yeah, fair enough. But as it stands, we're going to continue with Architects until we get all the way to the classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit, and we're going to stop. Because I've already heard Curse and I've heard Seeing Reds, no point in revisiting them because I hear them all the time. And then after that, we're going to go to another artist. I don't know whether it's going to be another artist that I'm going to, more or less revisit, or if it's going to be something I'm going to listen to for the first time again. I don't know. We'll see. So thank you again for watching. That was a very, stretched out outro. And I'll see you next time when we cover all our gods of Abandon Us, Take Care, and have a wonderful rest of your day.